Live.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hyperspace Cube channel, and I'm here with Frank. Frank, what's
Hello.
up, man?
What's up? Victor
And Ian's
Leader.
here too.
Ian's here too. I'm just going to pop in for a minute at the start of the video and let you guys get deep into it. But I did want to say hello and just get so excited about how well the team did at the big tournament this weekend. It was awesome up there in Minneapolis.
Yes, so we're here to talk about everything deck tech. We'll talk about tournament recap. I got ninth place here at the regional
So
qualifier.
proud of you, brother. So proud.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
There's the
We'll
deck.
talk a little bit about how we came to play Vader 4. All right. A week before the regionals, I had a great feeling about this deck. I thought it was well positioned, and I took it to the PQ up in Appleton. Made top cut, and then I said, came back to the team and I said, guys, anybody want to work with me on this thing? I think we should consider this. And I got crickets for a little bit,
A little bit.
and then Tyler and Cluis and Ian started playing with the deck that Sabine against it, the one who beat me in Appleton, who ended up winning the tournament. And then they started to like say, hey, something's here. And eventually we got the whole team on board with it. And it became like this huge collaboration with everybody, which I'm very proud of. So I just wanted to show this slide here and really thank everybody because this is a huge team collaboration that we
Yeah.
came together. Frank, what do you think about like how our process was and how we worked together and how you got on the deck and what you think of it?
Oh, it's just fantastic. So interestingly, I saw the deck the whole time. I was working. My part of it was working the green Vader 4. Like I was working a mono green Vader 4, trying it with the 6 drop that makes everything so big. I don't. What's the name of that card? Unity of Purpose. I was trying a Unity of Purpose Vader deck. I even got Wu to play it on his stream for a couple times. It was funny, but so that was my contribution. I was trying another variation of it. But I was super busy at work. Didn't think I was going to Minneapolis, but enjoying the deck. About a week before Minneapolis, I think it was Ian was like, Frank, we are going to get work done because we work together. He's like, we are going to get caught up. And Ian worked really hard. We worked really hard. I got caught up on work. So Thursday, I was like, okay, I will go to Minneapolis with you guys. And I was like, but I think I'm going to play Green Sabine. And Ian's like, no, you've got to play Vader Yellow because you've been involved the whole time and I was making the deck. And I mean, this deck is really good. And so I said, look, let's sit down. I'm going to play Green Sabine. You play Carlos's Vader Yellow list. Let's see how it feels. I think we played like 7 games, and Ian won like 5 of them. And those 5 probably weren't even close either. I felt really bad. Like I'm not a slouch playing Sabine either. I've had a few Sabine, I played it a few times in my life. And so yeah, so Ian laid the deck out just the way y'all had it built. I matched it card for card. We sat there and built it for me. He started teaching it to me. Crash course on Friday, flying up there. Got up there to the hotel, everybody. Y'all are teaching me how to play the deck. And yeah, I ended up top 20. It was awesome. Great deck.
That's fantastic,
Yeah,
no doubt. And we have a squadron, right? We
we
have a
did.
crew who came here to play with the deck. Yeah, it was just really great to see everybody collaborate here. Victor 4.
Yes, I'm Victor. I was the 4th place of us, so that's why I'm Victor 4. You're our leader, which you deserve to be. You started the thread. Jeff did great, and really what's most important is that you and Jeff needed your day 2 buys for Galactics, and y'all got that. So I'm really
Yeah,
proud of
Cluis
you
did too.
guys. Well, Cluis did, but he
Cluis as
wasn't on
well.
our deck, so I don't love it as
No,
much.
that's true. You're
If he's been
right.
on our deck, I'd love it even more. But now Cluis, our teammate, had a great run. He was second after Swiss. Uh, Fantastic, and I just couldn't be more happy with how it all went. Yeah, great deck. Everybody should play this deck. It's a lot of fun to play.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Frank. Really quick too. Tell us a little bit about. So we have here a little bit about our day one standings, but let's talk about your day one, like your round one. What happened there? I think all of us went like 1-5, right? The people who came to play Vader Yellow. But you
So
had a very, very interesting situation. What happened?
I just can't be like normal. I can't be a wallflower. So I sit down for round 1 against this awesome lady player. And I'm excited. She's playing Han Green. I'm all about like, oh, this is gonna be tough. How many Falcons can I kill? And how am I gonna get past all the waylays? and I count my deck out, and it's 48 cards. My deck was 48. So I raised my hand, called the judge over, and said, I looked at my backpack, I searched my deck box, everything. And it's funny, we went back to the hotel later and looked. We looked all through the convention center. We have never found those 2 cards. They vanished from the night before when I re-sleeved my deck to the start of the tournament. Those 2 cards have just despawned. I don't know where they are. So yeah, they gave me a match. They're gonna give me a match loss if I couldn't fix my deck in 15 minutes from when the round had started. But it was already pretty deep in the round as I was trying to figure out where the 2 cards went. So I didn't have time to fix my deck. Fortunately, the head judge Jonah stepped in and said, "No, it's just gonna be a 1-game loss, and you can." I went up. It was 2 uncommons. I went and bought them for 55 cents at one of the vendors, and yeah, I sat down, just all befuddled. She goes like Falcon, pilot, surprise strike. I was like, okay, round 1's done for me. I'm done. I only got 1 game, and because of the first game loss. So that was the beginning of my tournament. Crazy though, from there is I went 10 straight matches from there without losing a match. I did get a draw on 1 round, but after that first round debacle, I guess that's called submarining, I came up from the bottom, and then with 2 rounds to go, I was in 3rd place in Swiss with 2 rounds to go. Sat down across from the amazing Wu, probably the greatest Wu player alive right now, and he trashed me, just absolutely destroyed me. And because everybody drew in the top 8 or 9, including you, I was not able to win to get into the top 8. Because all the intentional draws kept me from having a chance. So really, my tournament ended a round earlier. So I scooped and then ended up 20th. So I think even if I'd won, I would have been 10th. It's not like it mattered. I wouldn't have made top 8 because of the way the intentional draw rule works. I'm the bubble boy that gets punished from internal draws. But I'm really happy after that first round debacle and then to fight all the way back like that. And the deck played so good, dude. It's so much fun to play it. There's so many lines. Like I ended up being on stream round 7, 8, 9, and 10. 4 straight rounds. Different streamers picked me to be on stream. So anyone who wants to learn this deck that Carlos is going to teach you and that Ian's going to teach you today, as y'all get, I'm not here for the deck tech. I'm just here to talk at the beginning. If you want to go watch some play lines, there are some crazy lines I found with this deck that are a lot of fun. I hope you'll go watch all this. McClunky has a great stream. Loopy, of course, at Late Night Gaming. And, of course, C-Raptor. I think I was on C-Raptor twice. So you really need to go see the gameplay, too, as y'all learn about the deck. But that was my Minneapolis adventure. Super proud of myself for coming back from that first round debacle. My only loss outside that first round debacle was to Wu, the champion of the whole event. So I have nothing to be ashamed of. Fantastic result by our team. We had 4 players who didn't have their day 2 buys. 3 of them got their day 2 buys at the 643 people event. So, yeah, I mean, Carlos, congratulations to you for being such a great team leader to get us into this deck. And it was fun to go as a team. We're all on the same list. Like at 4 a.m., I'm like, hey, let's put these 2 shuttles in the main deck. You know, like I was making changes with y'all about what we're going to do with the deck. It was
I was stressing.
Yeah.
I was stressing.
Yeah.
I submitted my deck list, submitted it again.
Yeah.
And then I woke up feeling good. And then you guys were the last ones to arrive at the venue because you were locked in the room making changes.
Yeah.
You immediately came back. We're like, here's what we're doing, last minute stuff. And then I had to resubmit everything. It was great, though.
It was awesome. I'm so proud of us. And it was so much fun. And I really want to encourage your viewers, if you don't have a group of guys or girls or group of people to like jam games with and work on decks together, honestly, the community and the people that you spend time playing the game with is far more fun and far more important than actual tournament results and actually playing the game. It's the people you play it with that makes this so incredible. So thanks for being part of my fam, Carlos.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you so much and glad to be a family with you, man. It's been a good time.
Yeah. Well, good. All right, I'm going to turn it over to, if you have anything else for me, I was going to turn it over to Ian, and y'all can get deep into the deck tech. I can't wait to watch the rest of the video.
All right, thanks, Victor 4.
All right, Victor Leader. And here, I'll turn it over to Victor 5.
Thanks, Frank.
Yep. Bye, guys.
All right,
Bye.
Victor 5 reporting for duty.
Yeah, Victor 5. I mean, I'm here talking about day 1 standings. Just at a glance, though, we did have the best conversion rate of any major team here at 64%. we had 11 people play from our team, and 7 of us went to day 2. So yeah, Ian, tell us a little bit about how your day went, and just
You're gonna make me
game
relive
1.
that? Oh man. So like all this whole week leading up to Minneapolis, I was working on this deck like nonstop. Like after work, it was just like literally like 6 p.m. to midnight every day, just trying to figure out the best list and like sure up some matchups and the sideboard and stuff. And I am beyond amazed at how well we did. I knew this was gonna happen. I kept telling Carlos we had the sauce. We knew what we were doing. We had a great game plan. I unfortunately did not execute as well as everybody else. I do want to say I feel like I got pretty unlucky though. Like I played against like my first round loss was to a Sabine player that like don't get me wrong, they're probably a great player, but they just did things differently than every other Sabine player I'd ever seen. Like when they ECL'd their masterpiece in, they didn't put the XP on the masterpiece. They would like put it on the battlefield marine, which like changed the math because it let me just kill the masterpiece, but then I'm just getting like chunked for 4 on the ground a bunch, which is like maybe that's just like actually correct and how you're supposed to do it. But every other Sabine I had ever played would just protect the masterpiece and put the XP on the masterpiece, which is like kind of like how we built the deck to like be able to do the final point of damage to the masterpiece. So it like screwed up my resource decisions. So that was not great. I lost that. And then round 5, I lost to the Blue Asajj pilot leader with Data Vault. And I think that deck was literally just built to counter Vader 4.
Yeah, it pings all of our
Yeah,
X1.
I mean, of course, it's a Data Vault deck that is running, I think, 6 spaceships that are turn 1 plays, and it's just Inferno 4 and Onyx Squadron. And I think literally every single game he opened with Inferno 4, which is not obviously, statistically likely to happen, but that's the worst start against us for us. So that was like really punishing. I grinded through. I actually won game 1 somehow. I just kind of like pushed through and just got there in the end. And then he sideboarded in confiscates and things like that. So obviously, like, I knew he was going to do. I also sideboarded in confiscates because he's a pilot leader. So, like, he, like, mind read me in game 3 that I had a confiscate and flipped to the ground. And then it was really awkward because, like, he barraged his Asajj before I could barrage it, which meant that I couldn't barrage I had a hauler, but he barraged first. So even though eventually the 6 damage from barrage on hauler would kill the Asajj, it wouldn't do it until the end of the turn, which means that he gets the attack in first, and Asajj has grit. So if I do it before the attack, I'm just letting him hit me for 6 more. So I have to like wait for him to attack, then do the play, and then it just like kind of was just too much damage, and I just couldn't kill the Asajj, didn't draw a swoop down. So I lost that. Now I'm at 3-2 in round 5. And then up to the round 8, I get paired into Yellow Palp, which normally Palpatine is a great matchup for us because they're super weak to space. But the Yellow Palp version has P-38s of their own, which is pretty good at like cleaning up the board and trading with our ships. The craziest play I've ever seen. I don't even understand how this happened. I Bazine him at one point before I flip Vader I see like double no good, and like a bunch of cards that don't matter. But I take out one of the no goods, flip onto a ship. He no goods it, and I'm like, that's fine. 2 turns, I'll start clocking him. I have like a lurking tie phantom, and I have like a P-38. I guess he drew from the Bazine draw into a frozen and carbonite, puts that on my lurking tie phantom. So now I'm like not doing as much damage. Couple turns go by. It's like I get a clone combat squadron out. He on the 7 resource turn, he change of hearts it with 1 open so he can sack it. So I just have to like hit into it so that he doesn't draw a card and like kill one of my guys. And so that was like fine, but now he has like nothing out. He can't use Palpatine to like damage one of my guys and steal it. So like he doesn't flip on 8, or he doesn't have anything to like. He has to like play a guy out on 8, and he eventually like steals just like a 1/2. So I'm like feeling good. He's got like 18 damage on his base. My Vader finally untaps, so now I'm gonna be able to start hitting with that. And on the 10 resource turn, He slams Devastator. He has
Oh,
3 cards left. He like kills my Victor leader, and that now all I have is a P38 and my Vader on a token. I have a barrage, so I can deal a bunch of damage to it, finish it off with a P38, and then hit for like 8 with the piloted token, and that'll put him to 24, which means next turn the Vader is like lethal damage, so it puts him in check. So I use barrage. He responds with 3 cards left. Pitch McClunky, bamboozle your pilot, and I'm just like, how
bamboozle
did
and
this
pout.
happen? He has 1 card left in his hand afterward. I just like obviously the leader pilot goes back to the leader zone. He taps the one like the token. All I have is this P38, but there's enough damage on the Devastator for me to finish it off with the P38. And I'm like, all right, well, all he's got left is a Palp. I at least have this token, and I have a couple cards in hand. I think I have a Bazine in row, so I'm like, I'll be able to like kind of maybe claw back here if he just doesn't draw another bomb. And then first action of next turn, he just goes salvage Devastator, and I was just,
Oh man.
and that's how my tournament ended. So. Uh, it felt like a 1%er a lot of the times in both those last 2 losses that I had, but overall, I mean, the deck performed amazingly. I think those 2 like quote unquote rogue decks that like weren't the top like 6 or 7 decks that were being played. If those are my losses, like that's whatever. I feel like
Yeah,
we did a really good job of making this deck to be good into the expected meta, and I think that shows with everybody's like really great results.
yeah, 100%. I had kind of a similar situation. Just we talked after round 1, losing there. For me, it was just I thought I had shuffled my deck really well. I had it in order like the night before. Thought I had shuffled it, but I actually didn't shuffle it that well, and I just started drawing pairs of copies, and I'm just like, oh my god, I didn't have a turn 1 play,
Oh no.
and
That's like so
yeah, it
hard
was
for
just
this deck to not have a turn 1
yeah,
play too.
it was just god awful. And then I was like to my opponent, I was like, all right, I'm gonna shuffle really really well here. It took a lot of time to shuffle, and then yeah, just ended up. I took it to game 3 against Kira Data Vault. He did really well too in that tournament, and so no, just lost. But then you know, I won 10 straight before I lost again. So I'm like, all right, cool. I shook it off and was able to make day 2. Yeah, day 2 to give myself a chance. So let's talk a little bit about kind of fast forward to round 13. This was a very difficult situation here. This is like the standings. We had me and Carlos A, who's great. I would argue he's considered really the best, one of the best Quinlan players here in the Midwest. Amazing player, multiple PQ winner. We are going to face off against each other, and I had a decision to make. I knew that a lot of people were drawing, and I know that we was going to play Lewis. So I kind of had talked to the team and kind of determined, you know what, my best course of action was either I can just win and in, locked in if I got the win. Of course, there's a situation too if Clueless loses to Woo. That helps my case, but that's like rooting against your teammate, which I wasn't going to do. I wanted Clueless to win there. I had a draw, which is the risk of getting in, but at least that could guarantee me the bye. And then if I play and I lose, there's that chance too, right? That I drop low enough that maybe there's not enough of the pass downs for the invites, and I just miss out on it. So it was kind of like a risk reward situation. I ended up just drawing, and then obviously I was worried about it a little bit. Like, hey, there's a chance you either both get in, one get in, or you're really short. And I ended up being 9th place at the end of it all. Here's the final standings.
Yeah,
and then
it
Jeff
was.
also got in at 10.
Yeah, that was so rough for you guys. I felt so bad. Pretty much my goal in day 2 was just go and help teammates in like any way I could, get some like snacks and drinks or whatever, and just be supportive and talk like matchups in between, like try to get their head on straight. And like we look at the standings and we look at where Carlos is, and we're like, I don't know, man. How much do you value this buy versus like potentially getting in? And like obviously getting into the top 8 and like getting a flight to Vegas and stuff is like super awesome, and like obviously the prestige of top 8ing. But like at the end of the day, like I think what you did was correct, because not having to play day 1 at Galactics is super important. And if you lose that match, I think there was no way you were getting the pass down. Like you would have fallen down to potentially like out of the top 20. So like, and I don't even think the bye reached that far, because obviously there's only 8 and it passed down to at least a couple. I mean, Cluis didn't have a bye yet. Chrono didn't have a bye yet. So that's like at least 2. So that maybe there's probably like 5 to 6, depending. I don't know about Raytan or Klepine if they've had a bye. But like at least 5, like it could be 4 to 6, I guess. Buys were passing down, but we didn't know how many. And like unless you finish in the top 12, really, like it's a crapshoot if you're gonna be there, and there's no way to know based on the standings if taking that risk would be worth it. So I think it was correct to just do the draw, and because the draw, even it wasn't a guaranteed that you were 9th, right? Like if Cluis lost, the draw would have gotten you as 8th, because then he would have fallen out. And then also if the standings, the match percentage points, like just a couple different people who were your opponents either won or lost more, you would have gotten in above the other Carlos. Because I think at the end they announced that like the difference in your 2 match opponent win percentage, whatever, which is the first tiebreaker, was like 0.4%. Like it was so
it was so
like
close.
so minimal, dude. Which is like such a, obviously that like kind of stings more, but I think that should make you feel better about it, because like really you did top 8 this event. You just didn't get to like, you didn't get the rewards of the top 8, but you did just as well as everyone who was in 4 below you. Like
Yeah.
4th place, 5th place, 6th place, 7th place, 8th place, 9th place all had the same record. Which is just incredible to at a tournament that was that stacked with that many great players, that many rounds. Like it was 13 rounds. Like it was so long. We're all super super proud of you. And everybody else on the team too. Like everyone did crazy. Cluis did amazing. Jeff getting 10th is amazing. Reflex getting 15th was amazing. Frank getting 20th was amazing. Like there was 6 people on the Vader deck, and 4 of them were in the top 20.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, this deck really performed well, and it kind of just shows how we worked really hard.
Yeah.
And it paid off a lot. We had the 3 of us that were for day 2 didn't have our buys, but we all got them.
Yeah, so awesome. It was such a
I mean,
successful weekend. Obviously,
it was,
like
like, so
flowers to the
gratifying.
KTOD boys, because they had 4
Yes.
people in the top 8, which is absolutely insane. Probably will never happen again, and like just that's how insane that kind of like stat is. But I feel super super happy with our performance, and if a couple breakers or whatever go here or there, like we could have had 3 people in the top 8, right? Like you and Jeff were like right there, just outside the bubble. So
Yeah, exactly. But it was just awesome. Let's get a little bit to the deck.
yeah, let's
So
talk about it.
this is a deck that I played. I think this was 59 of 60 compared to yours. I think you had the lurker in the sideboard. I had
The Waylay. You just didn't play the 3rd Waylay.
I didn't play the 3rd Waylay, but I was really high on just having the 3rd lurker in the
Yeah,
game.
and I think you had 3 Bazine in the sideboard, where I had the other lurking tie.
Yeah, and but besides that though, pretty much like 97, 98%.
Yeah, super close.
Super close. So let's talk about our leader. Ian's quickly talk about our leader here and its ability and how insane it is to just kind of start getting the ball rolling and snowballing people once you get this engine going.
Yeah, I mean, we're a space deck, and this leader like rewards you for being a space deck, right? You attack with a non-token vehicle, and then you get to make a vehicle in space. The 1/1 TIE Fighter token. Notably, it doesn't have to be a space vehicle that you attacked with. It just has to be a non-token. But we kind of designed the deck to not have any ground units outside of potentially flipping Vader on the ground, specifically in order to avoid ECL decks that would exploit ground units. So the biggest example of being Poe is really good against upgrades. Vader is an upgrade. We didn't want to have a ECL Poe target so that they could kill Vader using like a a really efficient ECL Poe attack. So we didn't want any ground units, which means that all of our vehicles were space, which means that you want to guarantee having a space unit to attack on turn 2. And
There it is. One
yeah,
drops.
the best way to do that is having 2 1-drops as your first turn 1 play. So I think the original list that Carlos rocked at the Appleton PQ the week before, I think you were on like 13 or 14 turn 1 plays, but you were like way more. I think you had Max on the Wingman Victor 2, which is you get to play 2 1s, but one of them becomes a token since you're upgrading the first guy that you play. And if they deal with that card, then all you're left with is a token, which doesn't activate Vader on turn 2. So we cut one of the Wingman Victor 2s, added the I think third Mining Guild tie, and then added the Droid Starfighter as just. I know it's like very unassuming. It's just a 1-cost 1/2 like space unit with Saboteur, but it really didn't matter what the body was. It was just that it was a body. Because the openings that you had when you had double 1s felt like you were always gonna win. Like it was just so gross.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. We kind of settled on Droid Starfighter. In my tournament, that Saboteur came in handy.
Yeah.
Quite often, and even when my opponent, I was even in the mirror, he had a 7 Fleet Defender, and we had cut ours, and I had Victor Leader out, and I just go, boom, take out your 7 Fleet, and it came in handy. And I'm like, oh my god, thank God for Saboteur.
Yeah, no, there's some really cool play lines like against blue hero decks when they have initiative because you played 2 1-drops and they just slam Concord Dawn. If you opened with First Order TIE Fighter and the Droid Starfighter, you could attack through the Concord Dawn to hit their base with the Droid Starfighter, make a token with Vader, which now gives raid 1 to the First Order TIE Fighter, and then play Victor Leader, and it attacks for 4 and just kills the Concord Dawn. Like, there's some crazy plays that you get to do just because this has Saboteur. Like, it came in clutch so many times. And if it ever, like, sticks around or you play it late and you get to flip Vader onto it, good luck trying to Bright Hope your way into, like, trying to stabilize. We're just going to attack for 6 through it.
Yeah, 100%. I found it to be just very useful. Did you ever, did you see the value of Mining Guild? Like, did you ever...
Oh, that's a good question. There was like
two?
1 or 2 times where I drew a card with it, but I was like so far ahead it didn't matter. So like oftentimes what will happen with this deck, because you're playing 2 1-drops on turn 1 and we don't have like any way to draw cards outside of Mining Guild TIE Fighter, you'll get to like the flip turn, you're gonna have 2 cards in hand, and after that, like, because you need to resource to 6 to flip Vader. You don't really need to resource ever again because the way we design the deck is there's like 23 or something like that 3-drops and 16 1-drops. So like you're gonna draw like 3-1 or 3-3 pretty much every turn for a while unless you draw like barrages or something. Which means that you don't really need to resource past 6. But if you do have like a 3-1, you'll have 2 open, which lets you like attack with Mining Guild, tap 2, draw, and then you can play a 3 and a 1 still. So yeah, it came in clutch sometimes, but yeah, it's definitely really, it shines in certain matchups, and obviously like against aggro decks, like you're not gonna have the ability, like the time to be able to draw 2, but against like Kira or Ray, I'm sure it comes in clutch.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk a little bit about keeping the space clear. Oh, this P38 was so clutch.
Dude, I was
putting it in
telling
this
you
deck.
guys. I was telling you guys. Why is no one playing P38 in Darth Vader?
Yeah, it's busted. And then Eager Escort obviously is important to kill Falcon in so many different matchups, and Sabine Masterpiece as well. We'll talk about that when we get to the Sabine matchup. And then of course, man, Sanctioner Shuttle, just an unbelievable card.
It's like the reason to play this deck is because you can always have a turn 2 Sanctioner Shuttle as long as they don't kill one of your, or kill both of your guys. Because like even if they kill one of your 1-drops, as long as you can attack with the other one and make a token, you'll be able to Sanctioner Shuttle again.
Yeah, and these, of course, units really play into not only just keeping the board clear, keeping your engine going, but certainly to protect some of your important pieces and many different matchups. Like Lurking TIE Phantom obviously is really good into Cad Bane, turns off their CAD leader ability, and then obviously into control decks like Hero.
Yeah, just making. I mean, Power of the Dark Side's not good against our deck anyways because we have so many 1-drops. But if you do end up in a scenario where you they clear your board from an overwhelming barrage or something, now you just have like a Victor leader left. Like you can play Lurking Tie Fan and protect it from Power of the Dark Side. It pretty much the control decks. The only way to get rid of the Lurking Tie is to either like ambush it or no glory only results it. So it'll end up just doing a lot of damage, and if you ever flip Vader onto it, now they really have a hard time killing it because it's like a 7/7.
It's
So
almost impossible.
yeah, it's like they have to play Architons, I guess, to get rid of it. But if you have Victor Leader out and the Lurking Tie Phantom, then you have an 8/8, and Architons only hits for 7. So
exactly. Ian, we only have about like a minute, so just pause the recording.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then so you were saying for Kira, in order to even kill a Lurking Tie Phantom with the Pilot Leader, they'll have to have the Architons to try to get that. That's probably
which is pretty much a sideboard card. Like most people aren't playing that main deck, so I feel really favored game 1 just because of Lurking Tie, but obviously you have to draw it. So
definitely, and then of course we have the MVP. Honestly, no other list previous tournaments that were running Vader Yellow, no one was on Stolen AT Hauler. This was a spicy Ian, Tyler. You guys really came through with this. Tell me how impressive this card was.
Yeah, I mean, Stolen AT Hauler was probably the best card in the deck, like by a mile at least. Like, I don't understand why no one was running this card because they were already running Geonosian Patrol Fighter, which is like the #1 card to get back Stolen AT Hauler. But, I mean, I was also one of the people that would play it in Django when Django was around, and no one really played it in that either, which I think was just wrong, because... So, Stolen AT Hauler obviously has a downside. And if you've played this card, and you've had the downside, like, bite you in the butt, and then you're like, oh, wow, this card sucks, I'll never play it again, I understand. The thing is you can build your deck to counteract the downside, and make it a good thing for you. Because usually what happens with this card is they cannot kill it on the same turn it comes out, which means they're probably spending 4 more resources and probably multiple cards to deal with it. And then they're playing it again, right? So usually what ends up happening is that the amount of resources you had to spend to play it, you're going to be able to hit once with it, make a token with Vader, and then they're going to spend a bunch of resources trying to deal with it. Sometimes they're not going to be able to, and then it gets to hit again. But even in the chances when they do get to answer it and replay it themselves, we have like so many tools to just get it back. Like we have the capture shuttle, which is probably the best way because then we capture our own unit so that if the Sanctioner shuttle dies, we get back our own hauler. We have Geonosian Patrol Fighter, which we can sack a token and bounce it back to our hand. We have Waylay. Like there's just so many options. We and not only that is like we can just spend a card to then just get it back and replay it for free again, because if it ever dies on your opponent's side of the field, you get the when defeated trigger yourself, which means that you can then play it again for free. And that's actually a game that you kind of want to be in because you are way more efficient because you're so space heavy at dealing with the AT hauler than your opponent will be. Like no other deck can deal with a 4/5 in space as easily as our deck can. Especially when we're playing 3 Eager Escorts, right? Like an Eager Escort plus a token or a Victor Leader out with Eager Escort kills the Stolen AT hauler and then you get it back.
And I found a lot of times the decks, that control decks too, were just like, if it dies, they're not even gonna play it. They're just gonna let it die and not replay it themselves and not play this game of okay, cool, let's keep trading because you know that it's gonna come back to me.
Yeah, exactly. Usually what ends up happening is they try to play the hauler game 1. They lose the hauler game. It does like 12 damage to them. And then games 2 and 3, they refuse to play it. Even when it's like not even gonna like let them off initiative or whatever. It's so funny.
And No Glory doesn't even answer it.
No, right, yeah. No Glory lets you play it for free again. Which did not happen, but I didn't play a single Kira. I was so hoping that a Kira player was gonna No Glory it, and I was just gonna be like, all right, I'll play it again. This card overperformed so hard. Like it was so good. a lot of the construction of like how we built this version was taking the Django list that we had and trying to see like what were the overperformers in that deck and seeing if we could put it in this deck.
Yep.
They obviously play very differently, but at the end of the day, like they're both space aggro decks. And so you would think that some of those cards are going to be like overperformers in this deck as well. Stolen AT Hauler was one of them. P38 was another. Like no one was playing P38. And then this shuttle, the Krennic shuttle ST149. I forget who brought this up. I think it was
I think it was Moo. I'm not sure who it was.
it might have been no. I think it was. Oh man, I don't remember now. I feel bad.
Me either. We'll get back. We'll
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was someone. Someone had mentioned it as like a good alternate 4-drop. It might have been Stan, honestly.
I'll find out and we'll put it in the description.
Yeah, but this card was so awesome because it protects stuff, and there's so many decks right now in the meta that either played shields or it played upgrades or XP upgrades.
Yes.
So like against the Ray deck, you just get to steal their upgrades when it like enters and when it dies. Against Kira decks, you get to steal the shields. In the mirror, if they're playing 7 Fleet Defender, you get to steal the shield off the 7 Fleet Defender, which is a blowout. Yeah, I don't know. The card was just really good, and
No, it was amazing, and it was like that's one of the reasons too. I was so hesitant to cut 7 Fleet Defender was because I wanted a sticky unit, and then we're like, "You want a sticky unit? We got the Hauler because no one can deal with it." But this one came in super clutch because I was able to in my matches too. I was able to protect Lurking Tie, and that
Yeah.
was really important, and put a shield on it immediately, and you just can't. They just couldn't deal with it afterwards.
yeah, so because of the way that this card is, it has shielded itself. You're allowed to use the shielded when played before the when played of moving the token upgrade. So you can move the shield that it comes in and put it on another unit, which means like you can shield Victor Leader, you can shield Lurking Tie, you can shield Stolen AT Hauler, like you can shield a bunch of stuff, which is really great for when you want to flip Vader and have like a unit that's protected.
I played a Kira who didn't expect this card, and they had used the Kira ability on Devastating Gunship, and now the Devastating Gunship had 1 health left, and I was able to just it had claimed, and I just played the shuttle, took the shield off, put it on my guy, and then my little token just killed the Devastating Gunship. It was, it was
Yeah,
great.
it's a blowout. Like it's insane. Yeah, the Krennic shuttle was so good. I was super hesitant in playing it because I was like, I really want to play more 3-drops. But it made sense to have a couple more 4s because that is like an important turn. And if you play a 4-on-4, it made your 5 resource turn a lot better because you could go 3-2 or 3-1-1 instead of going 3-1 on 4, which could often lead you to be like empty handed going into the 5 or 6 resource turn. So it let you just kind of like keep cards in hand to have more explosive turns later too, which was nice.
Yeah, awesome. Let's talk about our last 2 ships here. Of course, we got Clone Combat Squadron, which is just an insane card in this deck.
Yeah.
Everyone feared this card. I mean, if you don't answer this, it's a short match. And then Geonosis Patroller, which like you mentioned earlier, being able to bounce your haulers. The exploit came in relevant a lot of times, but I mean, any sick, amazing Clone Combat Squadron shenanigans happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the single best card in the deck, the Clone Combat Squadron. It just kind of is no one can outrace this thing. Like outside of playing a board wipe, like there is literally no way to race this thing because it is often like a 6/6 or 7/7 going into your flip turn, and then you can flip onto it to give it +5/+5, and then you make 2 1/1s with the deploy from the Vader, which gives it basically +7/+7. So it goes from like a 6/6 to a 13/13 or a 7/7 to a 14/14, and now it's a leader. So now there's less answers to it. And it often will just be 1 hit or 2 hit lethal. So you put people in checkmate scenarios really well. It's like the best way to race Sabine. You kind of just always want to play this on 4. Pretty much in all matchups except for like maybe control sometimes, where like you know that they might have like a Felda Dragon or something, but you can also use that to your advantage and try to have it be a 4/4 for a while until you flip onto it. Um, so yeah, I mean the card it will just kill your opponent. And the Genos and Patrol Fighter, like I really wanted to fit the third one in, but we ended up having to cut it just to fit all the other cards that we wanted to play. But this card is just so good in this deck. Like oftentimes you can play it for one because you have so many tokens that you don't like necessarily need to have. Like you're basically getting 2/2. You're sacking 2/2 worth of stats to get a 3/2, which is not a token, which lets you keep doing Vader activations, but then also getting the when played. Which we've said before is like super important to bounce the hauler that your opponent stole, or just tempo out like a space unit that they have, or a unit on the ground that you don't have a really good answer to, and just kind of like makes the deck hum. Honestly, I felt
I
like
never
it was one of
researched this
the
card.
best cards against Sabine.
Yeah, anytime it was in my opening hand, I would find a way to just keep it. It was just so good, and it was relevant in all situations, all times.
Yeah, even on 5, like it was just a 5 resource play that did something really useful. Um, I think also with our inclusion of P38, it got a lot better because that was a card we could exploit and have a when defeated effect that let us, kind of take two things out. Like if they have something with 1 health left, the P38 trigger would go, and then you would bounce another thing, and it would be like a straight 2-for-1, which is really nice.
Awesome. Let's talk about our events. Nothing too out of the ordinary. This is pretty stock here. No Good to Be Dead. Super important. Surprise Strike Whaley, and then of course Barrage.
Yeah. I think Surprise Strike is a card that seems like really unassuming in this deck. I think most people will look at it as, oh, you're an aggro deck, so you're playing Surprise Strike to like end the game. That's really not what this is for. Surprise Strike is to make your tokens into real cards. It lets your tokens kill Falcons or kill like important ships, like gunships or mercenary gunship, or not mercenary, devastating gunship or whatever. Um, it The amount of times you would use it to go face was really rare. It was really just a way to have your tokens be meaningful, which was, once you kind of look at it from that lens, it makes a lot more sense in terms of like how you're supposed to use it. I mean, No Good is obviously like the MVP against Sabine and Han. Waylay is one of the best cards in the game. Just lets you bounce sentinels that are in the way or pose that are going to threaten your leader deploy. And then Overwhelming Barrage is kind of silly that you get to play it in this deck because it seems like, oh, I have a bunch of 1/1s, but then, yeah, but I have this clone combat squadron, or I have my Vader flip, and now I'm Overwhelming Barrage for 8+.
I've had like a 15
Yeah.
Barrage.
Yeah, it's gross. And I think the fact that we were playing Hauler also was one of the reasons that we wanted to play it, was that it made Overwhelming Barrage better because it just gave you more units to get to that 6 health thresh point for the Barrage, which kills a lot of key things like Bright Hopes, it kills Han Leader, it kills Han 2 Leader, like it killed a lot of really important things, or it can kill like 2-3 health units. Like that's, if you're doing that, like that's a great turn, right? Like you're hitting a
Yeah,
bunch of
oh for
damage, you're
sure. Or
killing
even
two
get into
things.
Poe and try to take out the Poe.
Right, yeah, let you kill Poe in another way. Like it, yeah. I mean, Barrage is Barrage. Everyone knows that card's busted.
Definitely. All right, we're gonna go a little bit into the matchup guide, but I honestly do want to give a shout out to the team. Like we had an impressive amount of testing. We had a lot of people who are like specialists into certain decks who would be able to test against them to give their perspective, what cards annoy you, what cards are tough. Reflex 2 made this awesome spreadsheet for us that we could like go look at in between the rounds. I had the spreadsheet. I would study it before, like I was in bed, right before bed. I'm like studying the matchups, studying everything. What do I take out? What do I put in? And it just made life so much easier. And one more, like he says it, like it gives you one less thing to worry about, is just what you're gonna sideboard in and out in certain matchups, depending on how it goes. Obviously that can change, but like special kudos to him and everyone for like coming up with like matchups and what's good and what's not in order to have like a very ideal and not like list against the meta decks.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was super useful.
All right, Sabine. Here I just put like a little, how I usually do videos. You got Sabine, you got some cards that are really annoying, some things you got to really watch out for. Of course, Poe is threatening for our deploy, our flip, because it can kill upgrades. Of course, you got A Wing and Masterpiece, and you got Timely. So Sabine has a lot of tools that can basically kind of stop our engine going, especially Masterpiece. Talk to us a little bit about how, in our beginning of testing that we were doing, how they would start with like maybe a Sabine unit on the ground, and how a Masterpiece would punish us if we start out with like 2 1 drops, like one 2 1s, like 2 2 1s.
Yeah. So specifically with Green Sabine, I know Carlos at the Appleton PQ, like that's what you lost to in the top 8, and you were worried about that matchup going into Minneapolis, and you wanted to like kind of make it a better matchup. And I don't know if like at the end of the day, I think the stats for Minneapolis said that Green Sabine was still favored against Vader, but obviously there was other people playing Vader besides our team, so it could just be that like a lot of those people didn't have the tech that we had and made that matchup worse. I know I lost to one Sabine, but I beat 2 of them. I know Frank lost to a Sabine, but I think he beat another one. I think Reflex was in a similar boat. So, did you ever end up playing any Sabines?
No, man, the school gods answered me and said, Carlos, you ain't got to worry about no Sabine.
Okay, so the worst thing for this deck is when there's multiple ambushing space units, and because Sabine uses ECL and has timelies, they can often do that very frequently. And it in the double one drop version, there are some punishes because we're playing a bunch of 2 1s where they can start with a red unit and then Sabine's Masterpiece, and it kills both of them because the Masterpiece lets with a red unit lets you ping one of them, and then the Masterpiece goes in to the other 2 1 and finishes it off. And now you have no space units, and they have either 2 space units or they have a space unit and a ground unit, like a Sabine on the ground and a Sabine's Masterpiece in the air. Uh, the reason that we had a bunch of cards in this deck that dealt like 1 damage or made your guys attack for 1 more damage, was in order to clean up cards like that. So the P38 was really there to punish the Sabine Masterpiece plays where they would, start a wing. You would play a 2 1 and a 1 3. They would ambush the Sabine's Masterpiece, or you would start 2 2 1s, whatever it is. They would ambush the Sabine's Masterpiece, kill one of them, ping the other one, and they were left with nothing left. So you really wanted to start 2 1s because you wanted the 2 damage to happen to the Masterpiece so that the P38 could finish it off. And in the other realm, if they have a green unit out and they make the Masterpiece have an extra +1/+1, your other unit would be able to finish it off, right? So if you had 2 2 1s and the Masterpiece went in and killed one of the 2 1s, it takes 2 back, it has 2 health left, you can attack your other 2 1 in, finish the Masterpiece, make a token, play a 3 drop, and kind of just steamroll from there. Um, the 1 power units were actually like the worst units in the matchup, but they were still important because you still needed to have plays on turn 1. So if you start like 2 1 3s or a 1 3 and a 1 2, the Masterpiece is going to get a little bit more value, but there's still some cards that can help you out. So the good thing about that is that even if they start with a red unit, they can't kill both of them. So you would be able to attack with your 1 1, or 1 2, whatever it is that has that got pinged, either the 1 2 or the 1 3. Attack with that into their base, make a unit, and then you could sanction or shuttle, capture the Sabine's Masterpiece, and then you don't have to worry about it. And they already used their ECL, so now they need a timely to deal with this Masterpiece on time. We also had the Eager Escorts that could finish off the Masterpiece. Honestly, a lot of the times, just like dropping an AT hauler was like oftentimes the best thing to do because
Yeah.
the Masterpiece wasn't able. It can only do 4 damage unless there's a red and a green unit out. And if they're playing a red unit on 1 and a white unit like Sabine Masterpiece on 2, then on 3 they would need to play a green unit before the Masterpiece can deal 5, which then lets you deal with the Sabine's Masterpiece before they attack with it. So
Yeah, it was a big wall. And just in testing, I was prepared for it, but I never got to face it. But I know that the hauler was pretty big. To at least they would have to invest a little bit more to try to take it down.
yeah, um, honestly, it was like you could beat the first masterpiece. It was just, did they have a second one with a timely, or did they like Dark Saber Sabine afterward? And if you didn't have an answer like no good for the time for the Dark Saber Sabine, the matchup can kind of get away with you. But it ended up that if they fight you in space, like if they go Green Squadron A-Wing, Sabine's masterpiece, timely, like you actually get favored in that position because they're not hitting your base. So eventually you'll be able to finish them off, and then you'll get an army in space, and none of their like ground units are doing anything impactful except like racing you. But then you're gonna flip, like if you play the Clone Combat Squadron and then flip Vader, like they just die. So it's a super interesting matchup.
Definitely. This is kind of like a little sideboard guide for this, and I think a lot of people are going to be really interested when they see, wait a second, you want me to take Overwhelming Barrage out against Sabine? What are you crazy? What's the logic here?
Yeah, so I think what we determined was that in game one, it's fine to try to use Barrage, and like sometimes it'll be useful, but it really is only good against Sabine if you have the Clone Combat Squadron out. The 5 resource turn is pretty much like the last turn you have to set up your board before they try to kill you. And so if you're not putting units out, you have to be able to deal with pretty much all of their units, or you're gonna die. You're gonna lose the race. So unless you had Clone Combat Squadron out, the Barrage wasn't doing enough damage to ever make it worth playing that instead of like more units to flip the race in your favor. So we decided that we wanted to have more impactful cards like swoop downs and TIE Vanguards, and the no good to kind of like help fuel that. So yeah, I found that the swoop downs were like one of the key cards to be able to deal with Sabine, as that's another answer to both Sabine and Poe. So killing Sabine on the 4 resource turn when they flip is super nice because then you don't have to worry about Darksaber. If they just play a naked Poe on 5 to try to check your leader on 6, you have a bunch of different ways to be able to kill it with swoop down, since you get the +2. No good. Obviously, just having the third one is super impactful because it's like one of the best cards in the matchup. The TIE Vanguard is very similar to P38 in the sense that like it finishes up the ambush units because they're gonna try to value trade you in space. And the Bazine was just like an answer to if they have confiscates. You could try to get them out of their hand, or if like they're holding a timely for another masterpiece, or they're threatening, like you think they might have Poe on 5, like you could just play the Bazine and try to snipe one of those cards.
Yep, perfect. Glad I didn't have to play this matchup, but follow these, and this will help you out. The next one we talked about was Quinlan. We had Cluis, we had Mickey, we had so many people who were Quinlan players. Here's some key cards here. Of course, we have to worry about the Falcon coming out. They have their ping ability as well that can actually target units. It's very important to kind of be very mindful of playing your 3 drops, especially if Target Town is still available. But they do have really good hate cards like Bamboozle and Disabling Fangfighter, which a lot of them were playing main deck. And they do have, of course, A-Wing, which puts you in that situation of having something to contest very early. The good thing that I did notice about these Quinlan players is that we go under them a lot. So if you start with one, they don't have any 1 drops. Currently, they're not playing like the 5-pro first soldier, for example. So you're able to just play your 2 1 drops, and they will not be pinged for right now with the current builds.
Yeah, no, I mean,
what do you think about this matchup?
So this one is like a little contextual depending on how much upgrade hate they play in the main deck and how many space units they play in the main deck. But if they aren't prepared for this matchup, I think it's like easily like 60-40 in Vader's favor, mostly because they can't deal with your 1 drops, so you're guaranteeing the token making, and they're a 25 HP base. They don't really have a good target for Tarkin Town outside of Victor Leader, so you can kind of play around that. I thought Lurking Tie was like a phenomenal card in the matchup because they can't ping it. Obviously, they have like Falcons and things to deal with it, but if you could play it the turn before the flip turn and flip onto it, they don't have like any outs to killing you or killing the lurking tie, because oftentimes what they would try to do outside of like the disabling fang or bamboozle is to force throw themselves and pitch like a 7 or a 6 depending on how much health your Vader had on whatever you flipped onto, and just try to kill Vader that way. But the lurking tie made it just so that they can't do that, and then it attacks for 9 because it has raid 2. So it was like a really good way to just finish the game. I felt like a lot of the discard cards just didn't really do much in the matchup because we're so low on in hand anyways that oftentimes we'll play out all our cards in hand by the 4 or 5 resource turn, so they don't have any good targets for force throw. So now they have to force throw themselves, or their sparks just become dead cards. Their Ahsokas become dead cards. So it felt really good in that sense. And similar to like how the deck was built to beat Sabine Masterpiece, it was also built to beat Millennium Falcons, which is why again we have the Eager Escorts. We have the Sanctioner Shuttles. Like Sanctioner Shuttle in this matchup's insane because they have a really hard time dealing with those 1/1s or the 1-drops. So you will often go into your turn with the Sanctioner Shuttle being able to capture something. So they can't ever just like slam a Millennium Falcon as their first action on turn 2, because we can just Sanctioner Shuttle and capture it, and now we just blank their turn, hit them with our 2 1-drops, make a token. We have 4 units. They probably have 1 guy on the ground, and like we're just gonna completely outrace them. So yeah, I mean, I felt like any deck that was playing Millennium Falcon was actually like a really good matchup.
Yeah, the only thing that got me a little more concerned was on once it got later where Quinlan does flip. Now the pings are relevant. Now they can start picking you off, and the longer the game goes,
Yeah, but I actually felt really good if they started pinging the tokens, because like the tokens aren't the important ones, and oftentimes the way that you win the game is that you have like one big ship that you attack with and put them in check, and then they have to claim and find an answer, and then like your tokens get to do like a little bit of ancillary damage. The other thing too is like if you make them use their Tarkin Town on something early, then you get to play the Victor Leader and they don't have an out to it, and now they can't ping off the tokens because they're 2/2s. So there was some cool counterplay with the pinging as well. This was also another matchup where like Stolen AT Hauler is just phenomenal because they just don't have a good way to answer it. They can't play a 3 Tarkin Town because it would only be 4 damage. If they kill it with like a Falcon, and then you bounce it back to your hand, you basically just like got to kill a Falcon for free, which is really nice. So yeah, it felt really good as long as they weren't like super teched for the matchup.
Yep. And here's a little guide too. Speak a little bit about waylays.
Yeah, Waylay in this matchup didn't feel great. They didn't unless they were playing specifically Poe in their Quinlan list, which not many Quinlans are right now. It didn't feel that great. Wingman Victor 2 also didn't feel great because it put all of your eggs in the basket of the one 1-drop that wasn't a token. And if they had an answer to it, like Daring Raid or Open Fire, or they start space with like an A-Wing, you weren't going to be able to get the token generation rolling. So that was kind of like the worst 1-drop. And Overwhelming Barrage we just kind of trimmed on. It's really hard to kill anything in their deck because they have a bunch of 3/5s on the ground and Quinlan's a 3/7. So it's kind of similar to like the Sabine matchup where Overwhelming Barrage actually doesn't do a lot of damage. So we just trim on it here. You could take out all 3 and keep the Wingman Victor 2s if you feel like you don't want to cut on 1-drops. But yeah, either way, they're just not that great. And then just bringing in cards. Bazine's really important. They're going to bring in more upgrade hate if they don't have it main. Tie Dagger Vanguard is like the best way to kill a Falcon. And then we found No Good to actually be pretty good because there is some times where if Quinlan has like multiple blasters that they can start to race you, and No Good on like a Plo Koon or their leader can stop that like extra bit of damage when they're trying to race you.
Exactly. And then the leader that I found, I got to play one on day 2, so round 12. I got the win 2-0, but Han Green is definitely one that I was really worried about and try to prepare as much as possible. But they got a lot of space. They're trying Falcons. They got I think I always hear Ian when I was playing these matches is never let them keep a space unit at all costs. Kill the Falcons on sight. Do not let them get value by putting Han on a Falcon to try to kill your guy with no damage, and that's exactly how I treated it. And of course, no good is going to be super important in this matchup. To never let them get to 7. Never let them go for U-Wing or put Enfy's Nest out there. But no good is one of the most important cards. But how do you treat this matchup, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you have to kill every space unit you see. You would think that Han Green is like the best fighting in space deck that there is right now. The problem is that they're playing like 1, 3, 4 a turn, and they can't ever play multiple units. So like they're putting all of their eggs in one basket a lot of the times, and you can punish that really hard. Like again, Eager Escort, obviously like the best card to kill Falcons. It's just like a straight trade. The only time where it gets iffy is if they have like 5 resources and they can play Falcon and then Han Solo pilot to kill one of your units for free if you can't kill the Falcon in one action. So that can feel really scary, which is why, like Carlos said, you just got to kill every space unit that you see at all times. A lot of times too, it's like so if you start 2 1-drops and they start Falcon, if they're gonna start Falcon or if they're gonna play like the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing like as a 3-2. So oftentimes you'll want to play, if you have a 2-1 in your hand, you want to play that one first, because that one, if they play the Green Squadron A-Wing or the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, which is the 3-2, you play the 2-1, you can claim and not play the second 1-drop and then just kill the 3-2 and make a token and then play your 3-drop or like see what they do and figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so it's just like kill all the Falcons and then prepare for the Han flip and have an answer to Han. Because oftentimes what will end up happening is they'll try to race you on the ground with Han by just like double blastering Han.
Yeah, we talked about this too. Is like make sure to have that no good be dead. It's just so important.
Yeah, yeah, and it's totally fine to like just play the 3 no goods main if you think your meta is just like Sabine, Quinlan, and Han. As you see, we're bringing no good in against all of these matchups. Same with the TIE Vanguards. Like you could also play them main. If you're not playing a lot of control, there's not a lot of Kira. Like you could just play the Lurking Ties in the sideboard. Like there, obviously you'll see there's a lot of common ins and outs here. Lurking Ties not great against Falcon decks though, so we take them out. Victor Leader again also can get punished by a turn 1 Falcon. So if you play a 1-drop, Victor 2, pilot onto it, make a tie, they activate and play a hasty Falcon. That Falcon's going to eat the Wingman Victor 2 and leave a token behind, and now you don't have a token generator. Waylay can be kind of anemic because you don't really want to bounce a readied Falcon that they can just replay as another readied Falcon. So that can be really bad. They also play Chewie, which can't be bounced, so that card just isn't that great in the matchup. The TIE Vanguards are really great ways to finish off space units. No good against Han. A lot of them bring in more confiscates. Some of them play some main, but they'll always bring in more. So Bazine is obviously really good in the matchup to try to just get the anti-pilot hate out. Can also be really good if a lot of times with Han Green, there'll be low cards in hand on their flip turn, and they'll often have 2 cards in hand, activate Han, put 1 down, and have 1 card remaining, and it's usually a 7. So you can either smuggle out Bazine or play Bazine from hand, get rid of that 7, and now you're off to the races, and you just have to deal with the Han flip and hope they didn't draw into another 7. Swoop down can be a cheeky way to kill Han as well.
Last but not least, we talk about the boogeyman here. Well, we can say that Kira's definitely top dog right now. Super Laser Blast, No Glory, Devastating Gunship, Traitorous, 8 cards to watch out for, and then out of the sideboard you got that Arkenton's the only way that they could deal with Arcane Tie. How do you feel about this matchup?
So this matchup is really contextual, honestly. Like, I feel pretty good into it, but it really depends on how much hate cards they're playing main deck, how many they have in their sideboard for us, and how frequently you draw Lurking TIE Phantom. Uh,
Yeah.
it does kind of feel like Lurking Tie Phantom is like our emergency button of like how you win this matchup, which is like unfortunate, but at least you have a tool like that available to us. And like I had said previously in the video, like you want to get Lurking Tie out and you want to pilot it, and oftentimes it's not actually great to play it on 3 because they can play like a traitorous, or they can play a devastating gunship and threaten the kill, and you want to just be able to protect it at all costs, and it's a lot easier to do that if you like play it on 5 after the board is clear in space, and then have that first activation to immediately deploy the following turn as like the best way to try to just deal with it, because outside of Architins, there's no answer that they have unless they just throw multiple spaceships at it once you pilot
Yes.
the Lurking Tie.
And that's also why I love the Krennic shuttle, because even if you have a 7/7 Vader, getting that shield and putting it on that Lurking Tie will protect it from this big 7/8, which is really their only answer.
Oh, that was actually a good point. Back to the Sabine matchup, the Krennic shuttle can steal the XP from the Sabine's masterpiece
and
to
then
finish it
dies,
off.
right?
Yeah.
Here's some sideboard stuff and Eager Escorts out and Surprise Strike. Bazine, MVP card. I love that card just to be able to see if the coast is clear. Confiscates for those traitorous, and then I've had situations too where that swoop down is killing Kira on the flip and being able to kill it. And of course, please tell everyone about Victor Leader and about never playing Victor Leader before that Kira flip. Why is that?
Yeah, so if you play Victor Leader before the Kira flip and you have like a bunch of tokens out, it actually is really bad for you because Kira will flip, turn them all into put 1 damage on all of the now 2/2s that you have. And if they have any removal for the Victor Leader, it also kills all of your tokens because they go back to being 1/1s, but they have a damage on them. So if you have Victor Leader, you either need to save it, don't play it, or you just need to resource it and just hope you draw into another one. It's super risky to ever play it pre-Kira flip. So yeah, definitely look out for that. The Eager Escorts, you can keep them in if you want, just to deal with having more answers to Devastating Gunship, but I felt like you didn't really need it. And similar with Surprise Strike, like you are gonna try to just win with Lurking Tie, and eventually you'll get there. So the Surprise Strike, like to base, really isn't gonna matter that much, and they don't have enough space units to warrant like the trade that you can do with a token. Um, Swoop down's also really important if the game goes late and they slam a Devastator. That's like a way to get through the Devastator. It's also a really good way to kill a gunship that has a shield. So yeah, just a lot of really good tools here, and Bazine is like one of the best cards just to be able to hit the hate pieces, the no glories before your flip, so that they can't get rid of the Lurking Tie or whatever other pieces of hate they have. Like they play Barrage. Barrage is really good against us. You can maybe sometimes win against one Barrage, but the second one will usually win the game. So
Yep. I will put videos in the description to you guys who want to watch Frank play Kira. There's a really good match that he had. And so, well, that gives all the matchups that we are covering. I do want to say thank you, Ian, so much for spending time here talking about this deck tech. We had such an amazing time collaborating. I'm so happy for the team, happy for everyone. Like we did super well in this tournament. I'm really glad that like we got a lot of people eyes on how we did as a team, and we're excited going to Galactics. That'll be our next big tournament, and I expect the same, that we're gonna come up with something really great, and we're gonna go out there and ball and have that goal of taking down Galactics, man. So thank you so much for joining here. Any last thoughts and last words?
now I'm super proud of the team, man. I mean, it all started with Carlos just asking into the thread like, "Hey guys, I think this deck is real. Who wants to work on it?" And then just like the willingness of the team to be like, "All right, yeah, this isn't actually a joke deck. This isn't a meme deck. Let's take it seriously and let's put some work into it." And it worked out fantastically. Like obviously, it would have been great if you got into the top 8. Same with Jeff. We had a lot of like just near misses, but when you're playing in these 13 round events, like giant tournaments, I feel like people often forget about the Bubble Boys, but I'll always remember your run, Carlos. It was legendary.
Thanks, brother. I mean, hey, ninth place out of 636 people is
Absolutely
not easy.
insane. You had the same record as 4 through 8, dude.
Yeah, so super close. But thanks everyone for joining, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.